Well, to Edo State now, where the government is calling on security agencies to arrest and interrogate the former governor of the state, Adams Oshiomhole, for allegedly inciting the public against the CBN cashless policy. The state's Commissioner of Communication and Orientation alleges that a viral video led to protests in the capital, Benin City.
Around the city all day, we've been speaking with some of these protesters. And we've done our own very serious and thorough investigation. And unfortunately, we have discovered that there's more than meets the eyes. At this juncture, I'd like to call on the security agencies to call former Governor Adams Oshiomhole for questioning. He should be arrested and also made to account for his movement in the last few days, especially here in Benin City. Oshiomhole deliberately instigated the riots or the protests of the people.
Okay, joining us now is a RISE Director of News and Politics Editor, Sumner Sambo, to look at the countdown, 10 days to Nigeria's general elections. Yeah. Sambo, where do we start from? The political campaigns and rallies are getting heated and heated. Tinubu in Port Harcourt going to visit, the opposition governor, the arrowhead of the G5, Obin Nnewi, to solicit the votes of the market women. And sum all this up for us, 10 days to the general election.
Thank you so much, Christian. Let me start from Rivers State, where Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the APC presidential candidate, visited the leader of what some people are beginning to call the defunct G5. Because, you see that members of that group are no longer active.
They are in disarray.
They are in disarray, and, they seem to be scattered. Just yesterday, we saw Ugwuanyi visiting and Atiku having a meeting, and then we heard Yocha, you said the other day that Governor Ekpeazu has been running to beg him to see that, someone that's favorable to him gets the PDP governorship ticket in Abia.
And which happened.
Yes, and then if you see what's happening in Jos, even Jonah Jang, who was a supporter of, Governor Nyesom Wike. So it looks like the G5 didn't really have a very good strategy. They were just aggrieved and just out of anger.
One man's grievance. And
you see them.
Down,
you can see the tone of Wike's political language is changing. His anger is now on the CBN governor, where he was pouring all sort of vituperations on the CBN governor and all of that. But look, let's ask the politicians. Why are they not calming down the people in the midst of this Naira cash crunch? They are the ultimate beneficiaries of elections when the elections will hold. We had expected that if there's a problem in the country, being the ultimate beneficiary of the outcome of elections, they should go to their constituents and start explaining to them. This Naira cash crunch is ongoing, and the federal government and states are in the court. Please calm down. Just make sure that nothing happens to the elections that will be forthcoming in about a week's time. And I think the ultimate beneficiaries will actually be the politicians themselves. But
absolutely.
It looks like they're not paying attention to that. And that's why I'm urging them, as people who will be the ultimate beneficiary of the electoral system, not to allow this anger to actually, not to inflame the polity and make it lead to a situation whereby those who are already calling, the hawks around government, who are already calling for an interim government to see an opportunity to scuttle the nation's democracy. 10 days to election day, I can tell you, everyone is excited. The reason why this whole hula baloo, if I may use the language of one of the presidential candidates, is not so much heightened. The flames are not so much heightened. It's simply because the election day is getting closer. And I can tell you the strategies are doing the final, dotting of the T's, of the I's, and crossing of the T's and all of that. If you take away this election, I can tell you a lot of problems will be multiplied. But everybody is happy because election day is going to give every voter the opportunity to vote those who have been bringing bad policies in place, voting those that they think have good policies. And I don't see why any Nigerian should go about attacking any facility. Because if you think that those who have brought you pains are still around, then you are closer to the
to
salvation
vote them
day.
out, yeah.
And that's why I thank people like Peter Obi who have been going to different states. You can see Bola Tinubu, you can see Atiku Abubakar, all still going because they have a trust in the electoral process.
Don't forget
so
too.
it looks like the candidates themselves seem to have their eyes on the ball.
Yes.
But some other politicians, I almost use the word elements. Some other
political elements, you wouldn't be wrong.
Some other politicians seem to have politicized this whole policy.
Yes,
rather than calming nerves. But so I want to ask you, because I mean, if you had a barometer to feel the temperature of the political atmosphere now, it's 10 days before the ballots. Would you say any clear front runner has emerged, 10 days to go? Can we discuss that?
Well, those who are very, very politically smart already know the next president of Nigeria. I can tell you. I won't reveal that to you right here. But I can tell you, yes. Sambo. I can tell you that from what we are seeing right now, the next president of Nigeria has already emerged. The indices are there.
In the first ballot?
Yes, in the first ballot. I can tell you that in the very first ballot, because as we are inching closer to election day, we are seeing the errors happening. The strategic teams of some of the mega political parties are making errors. There are some who are making gains, and there are some who are in a last-minute, effort to be able to see whether they can still tinker with certain indices. But I can tell you that all the campaign trips that we've seen, all the way presidential candidates have been going around, it has shown clearly. And I told you last time here that for you to emerge president of Nigeria, you need 4 out of 6 geopolitical zones.
Yeah.
The ones who have the capacity to draw the votes in the 4 geopolitical zones are very clear to each and every one of us. Because there are 2 categories, the popular vote and the widespread.
Okay.
But the controversy, controversy, where the controversy lies now, is whether with the declaration of the Supreme Court that the Federal Capital Territory is indeed a state of the country, we will need that 24 states and FCT, or it should just be 24 states.
Yeah. I just wanted to add that because, I've heard some other analysts say we cannot rely on past indices and calculations in this particular elections because some indices seem to be different. For instance, we're having the highest registered voters ever. We have a youthful population registered ever. Yeah. We also have a youthful, burgeoning youthful, politically aware, conscious, coming from the protests of the NSAS of 2020. They say all of those indices have never happened before. So we cannot say that the past indices will repeat itself. Do you agree with them?
Yes, if you look at the political mix we have at the moment, there are some of those elements. But I can tell you those who decide the votes of this country over the years and even up to the 2023 elections are not urban-based voters. Some of the polling that we've seen right now are trying to make us, focus more on the urban centers. And I can tell you that just one urban center can have its votes downplayed by a lot of votes that are coming in from a lot of rural-based voters. And those voters are people who are very rational in taking their decisions. Some of them may be out of anger. And that's why this issue of, for example, the cash crunch is one that may be able to tamper with some of their thinking. If you look at the way they've always voted, the voting pattern, you discover that over the years, when it gets to election, at least a week to election, public opinion molders will play a critical role. But where they will play a critical role is to actually looking at where exactly the nation is coming from and where it's going to. Some of these people have been tested. They've been around for a long period of time. And they are new players. Now, but the tendencies for those who are urban-based to think that their vote alone will count is what I'm warning against. The political campaign strategies of the old, while they will not necessarily need to be pushed aside, nonetheless, what is happening now is that we must be careful of thinking that some of the things that we have, like some of the NSAS things that you talked about, are capable alone of driving the votes in the election. Some people are still stuck to the ethnicity. Some people are still stuck to religion. And I can tell you the dynamics are beginning to play more towards religion than even ethnicity.
Let's look at the dynamics of the swing states in the election, because you cannot isolate the swing states in Nigeria. states like Kano, like Sokoto, Kebbi, Yobe. You look at river states as well. What kind of dynamism, will the swing states come to play in these elections?
They have a lot to actually contribute. Did you see the outing today within the major political parties? Look at what happened in Rivers State. I mean, the APC had its lowest. If the APC was looking for 25% in Rivers State, they need to have a rethink, because it looks like Nyesom Wike did not actually calculate it very well. Despite the efforts that there's a desire within him to be able to deliver maybe 25% to the APC presidential candidate. It looks like Rivers State, yes. It looks like it may even be a huge target. But look at Jigawa State, for example, today. The outing in Jigawa, an APC-led state, with a huge outing like that, it's beginning to provide some details that, look, some of the projections earlier made, even by the governing party, the strategists in the APC need to have a rethink and reconsider some of the projections that they are made. And you look at the APC too, in some other states, they've been gaining some mileage, but because of some of the policies that they've put...
Does the crowd really determine, acceptability?
It shows you where people's anger are being poured into and where they are deserving, where they think they are deserving of a change. That's why you see the APC too is trying to make sure that the states where it controls very well, it holds them very, very well. But as it stands right now, I can tell you that the undecided voters are, for example, the ones that Labour Party is trying to appeal to. The undecided voters have a critical role to play too. But these swing states are states that we must pay careful attention to, because some of them are very old states. And what usually happens is that the little states that were carved out of the bigger states always vote almost the same way like the older states. Look at Rivers and Bayelsa, for example. If you look at the electoral trajectory of the country since 1999, everywhere Rivers State goes, Bayelsa tends to almost go there. Everywhere Kano goes, Jigawa tends to almost go there. And you continue with other states like that. So
how about Borno State, for example, that has always been in opposition until this alliance?
Borno and
Yobe.
They always go together.
Yes.
And there's that tendency that during this election, they would almost go together. But it's a battlefield.
And when you look at the big weights, the political big weights from the states, you understand, they are surrounding, or they are in the two mega parties, the PDP and the APC. And so it's going to be a battle royale.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you are seeing the APC presidential candidate trying to divide the votes that will come from Borno State by picking his vice presidential candidate from there. But you see that Atiku is also seemingly making some inroads into traditionally APC states within the last 8 years, like Gombe and Bauchi. Bauchi, yes, the PDP came and took over from that state. The PDP seems to be waxing stronger. But in Gombe, you look at the way things are, a lot of projections are coming into play. And I can tell you, that's why I said the issue of religion will play a very key role in who becomes the next president of Nigeria. And that's why you see that even the new parties, like Labour Party, they are playing big on that religion too, because they know what it means in terms of how you're able to wake up the emotions of people. And now, we want rational voters, and that's why you have a lot of young people. But the thing is that the parents of the young people have a critical role to play in directing them where they go to. So as it stands right now, the campaign strategies of the major political parties need to reawaken themselves and know that some of the projections that they are put in place earlier on may not necessarily work for them in the last week that's ongoing, because people have done their assessments very well, Christian. Adesua, people have come to a conclusion that in this 1 week that's left, there's nothing else any candidate can do to convince me to change my vote. Okay. And that's why I told you that the candidate who will win this election has already emerged, because whatever is left right now is just I mean, a rounding off of the campaign. What will you say to actually change the mind of an average Nigerian voter in the Nigeria that we are
Sambo
today?
has added another title, being a political pundit now.
Yes. Octopus.
Some people are saying that we should go into a run-off, but it will be difficult.
I will consult you and your crystal ball after the news.
Absolutely.
But we have to thank you. And I will also hold you to it. You said we'll go to this election first round emerging a
First
president.
round,
There'll
I
be
can
no
tell
runner.
you,
At the
there
first
wouldn't
battle.
be
I will
any
hold you
runoff.
to it.
Yeah, some of the
Sambo.
campaign teams
Okay.
had been making lots of projections,
Okay.
but from what we have seen in
All
this
right.
outgoing week, look,
Let's see.
we just have to
Fingers
focus
crossed.
on that.
Fingers crossed.
All right, thanks
Thank
so
you so
very
much.
much, Samna Sambo, Director of News and
Politics editor.
Politics Editor.